So the real question, of course, is how, right? How do you actually do this? And that's where I really learned everything from working with practitioners, working with people who actually do it. And what I realized over the years is that particularly those innovators and practitioners who really created new things in their own field, be that science, technology, society, arts, or business, often talk about a deeper and more personal process that I was unaware of before. And here's how I stumbled into that. In talking with the late CEO of Hanover Insurance, Bill O'Brien, after he shared all his stories of leading transformational change and so on and so forth, he summarized really his personal learning experience over all these years with this simple sentence. He said, "The success of an intervention depends on the interior condition of the intervener." Let me translate. The success of what I do as a change maker depends on the inner place from that I operate. And when I first heard that, I thought, wow, what is this inner place? We know everything about what leaders and change makers do. We know a lot about how, the processes they use. But the source dimension, right, the inner place from that we operate, what do we really know? And it was, like a blind spot, I think, at least in my own awareness, but also a blind spot, I think, in the field of leadership and change. Today, I would map these territories, this deeper territory that I first became aware of in this conversation, with these three capacities: open mind, open heart, open will, aka accessing our curiosity, compassion, and courage. So what does that do? It does actually move us beyond this, move us beyond downloading, which is same old, doing more of the same. Whenever we deal with disruption, right, we need to move beyond that. That's what we know, but the way to do it is kind of to access these deeper levels of knowing. And what the open mind essentially is the capacity to, let me visualize that here, really to suspend our habits of judgment and to see with fresh eyes. What do I mean with an open heart and compassion? It's the capacity to empathize, to look at a situation through the eyes of another, kind of something that we also refer to as sensing, right? Beginning to use your feelings as an organ of perception. And what I mean with open will is the capacity to let go and let come. And that's pretty much, I would say, kind of the deeper territory of leadership today, cultivating these deeper instruments, these inner instruments of knowing, cultivating these deeper human creative capacities. But when you look around and say, okay, so, but what's actually really happening in our environment, we see a lot of this. Right? We see pretty much exactly the opposite of everything I just shared with you. It's not like an opening of the mind, heart, and will, but what we have been seeing the past 7, 8 or so or more years is the freeze reaction of the mind, heart, and will, aka an amplification of ignorance, hate, and fear. So rather than, deepening our capacity to connect with what's going on around us, what's going on around our own bubble, right? Seeing, sensing, and letting go, what we see is the opposite, right? It's kind of denial, right? Think about the whole denial industry, right, around climate and in other topics. Desensing, right? Getting stuck in our filter bubbles, right? So that's so easy, kind of we entrench kind of in our existing viewpoints And rather than letting go and connecting with our highest future possibility, it's holding on to what we have and disconnecting kind of with what's actually wanting to emerge. And rather than what we see here, bringing the new into reality, we see on this part of the cycle like patterns of blaming, of destruction, and eventually self-destruction. So what I'm basically saying is this. Whenever we hit a moment of disruption, and that's pretty much the only thing we know about the future, right? Disruption is going to stay. So we better prepare ourselves how we respond to that. So whenever disruption happens in our life and in our work, we have a choice. We can respond by turning away and closing down, or we can respond by turning toward and opening up. And if we turn away and close down, we activate one cycle that by now we all know very well. And when we turn toward and opening up, we activate another cycle that by now we also know very well. And if you step back and say, okay, so I have seen these dynamics some places, right? So we all have kind of pockets of that experience. And I also have seen, kind of particularly when I look at the bigger picture, I have seen these dynamics in some other places. So what really is the difference? They are both social dynamics or social fields that we know are real today. So what's really the difference? And I would say on this upper half, kind of we deal with architectures of separation, right, where we bring up the walls essentially that lead to patterns of destruction, right, everything described here. While on the lower half, we essentially deal with architectures of connection. So what's really underneath is kind of connecting across systems, kind of across boundaries. And what it leads and gives rise to is patterns of co-creation. But again, what really does it depend on whether, because both of these things are real, what does it depend on whether in a system we activate this one or that one? And what I would suggest kind of is the most significant independent variable, kind of that kind of can help us to move either to navigate a process in this direction or in this direction, has to do with our awareness. And the distinction I want to propose is between two qualities of awareness: ecosystem awareness and ecosystem awareness. And what I mean with ecosystem awareness is an awareness that is originating from inside its own boundaries, from inside the boundary of your own system. And what I mean with ecosystem awareness is an awareness that is originating from relating to what is outside the boundary of your system. How? By opening the mind, opening the heart, and opening the will. That's why these interior capacities are so critical as we move deeper into a historical period that more and more will be marked by challenges of disruption. So the reason why we see such a strong amplification of the upper half is not that people intend to do something that's not good. The reason is that if you are thrown in situations where you meet profound challenges of disruption and you have not built the capacity to, in the face of disruption, to lean into and to open your mind, open your heart, and open your will, the letting go and the letting come, then life and our larger systems throw you into this other space. So That's why in the ULab journey and the whole kind of platform we are kind of curating here for you and that we are co-creating together with you, the strengthening of these capacities is at the very core.